Welcome to our deep dive into productivity. Seems like everyone's searching for that secret recipe to get more done and take back their time. You've sent in a ton of articles and notes, so clearly this is something you're grappling with. Let's unpack it all with an expert who can guide us.
It's a fascinating puzzle, isn't it? We've got more tools and tech than ever before, but so many people feel overwhelmed, like they're always behind.
Totally. We're racing against the clock, but always losing. One article really highlighted that always-on work culture. You know how smartphones have basically erased the line between work life and personal life?
And that expectation of being reachable 24/7, it's relentless. No wonder so many of us are feeling burned out.
The research is kind of scary so. People with smartphones are working something like 70 hours a week on average. And get this, in the US, people spend over 6 hours every day checking email. Many even before getting out of bed.
It's like an epidemic of busyness. We're constantly glued to our devices, always looking for that next productivity hack to squeeze in a few more minutes of work.
It makes you wonder, though, is this really living? Are we sacrificing well-being at the altar of efficiency?
It forces us to ask, what does success even mean? Many of us are chasing this vague idea of more money, possessions, accomplishments, but we don't stop to think about what actually brings fulfillment.
You mentioned a coaching client, Roy, who really embodies this struggle, working insane hours, but feeling like a failure.
Roy's story is a cautionary tale. The harder he pushed, the worse the burnout got.
It's a good reminder that we're not machines designed for constant output. We're human beings. We need time to recharge and connect.
Exactly. We have to prioritize activities that replenish our energy because it ebbs and flows.
Like tending a garden. Can't expect a big harvest if you neglect the soil and never give it time to rest and recover.
Perfect analogy. So let's dive into 5 essential practices that help us recharge. Sleep, diet, movement, connection, and play.
Starting with the foundation, sleep. Studies show that Americans are seriously sleep deprived most, getting less than the recommended 8 hours a night. And then you have these business leaders bragging about how little sleep they need, perpetuating this dangerous myth.
Oh, that myth that sleep deprivation equals superhuman productivity. It's a disaster waiting to happen. It affects your thinking, your decision-making, and ultimately your success.
Makes sense. All right, moving on to diet. It's not just about what we eat, but also when and who we eat with.
Absolutely. Regular healthy meals provide sustained energy throughout the day. No more sugar crashes or caffeine-fueled highs and lows that mess with your focus.
And let's not forget that sharing meals with loved ones builds connection and joy. It nourishes us emotionally.
Now let's talk about movement. Many people see exercise as just another demand on their already packed schedule.
Oh, I used to be guilty of that. Exercise was something I'd squeeze in if I had time left over.
I know, it seems counterintuitive, but physical activity actually gives you energy. It not only improves your physical health, but also reduces stress hormones, boosts your mood, and sharpens your thinking.
It's amazing how much our social interactions affect our energy too. The people we spend time with can either lift us up or drain us.
High performers tend to surround themselves with a supportive, inspiring network. But negative people can sap your motivation and enthusiasm.
And finally, let's not forget about play. Doing things just for the fun of it can be so rejuvenating.
Couldn't agree more. Play sparks creativity, reduces stress, and prevents burnout. It's essential for keeping that sense of wonder and engagement alive.
So we've explored these 5 essential practices for recharging. But how do we make room for them in our crazy busy lives?
It comes down to mastering the art of saying no. We have to realize that every time we say yes to something, we're inevitably saying no to something else.
It's about conscious choices, making sure that our commitments align with our values and goals.
And when you decline a request, do it gracefully. Offer alternative solutions if you can. It shows respect for your time and theirs.
Okay, so once we've carved out some space by letting go of non-essential commitments, how do we streamline the tasks that are left?
Automation is key. By delegating or automating repetitive or mundane tasks, we free up our minds for more meaningful work.
There are so many different ways we can use automation in our work.
Let's break it down into 4 main categories: self-automation, template automation, process automation, and tech automation.
So self-automation, that's all about building routines and rituals for everyday tasks, right? Like creating a personalized autopilot system.
Exactly. Think about your morning routine, how you wind down in the evening, or even the steps you take to start and end your workday. By making these things automatic, you free up mental energy and reduce decision fatigue.
And then template automation that helps streamline things by using pre-designed formats for documents we use all the time.
Right, like having templates for emails, presentations, or proposals. You don't have to reinvent the wheel every time, which saves a ton of time.
Makes sense. What about process automation?
Process automation is about writing down the steps for those tasks you do over and over again. Then you can easily delegate or outsource them.
So it keeps things consistent, minimizes errors, and frees you up to work on higher level things.
Precisely. And finally, we have tech automation, which uses software and digital tools to handle things like filtering emails, scheduling appointments, and managing social media.
It's like having a virtual assistant, taking care of all those little things so you can focus on the work that requires your unique skills.
Couldn't have said it better. Now let's shift gears and talk about the core of productivity-focused work. Being able to concentrate on one task at a time without distractions is absolutely crucial.
I've heard a lot about this concept of mega batching. Is it really a game changer for productivity?
It can be. Mega batching is all about grouping similar tasks together and tackling them in one big chunk of uninterrupted time. This helps you avoid context switching and build momentum, which boosts your efficiency.
Interesting. And then there's the idea of planning your ideal week, strategically mapping out your time so you have specific days for different types of work.
With this approach, you make sure to carve out time for both backstage activities, like admin tasks, meetings, and emails, and front stage activities, which is that deep work that requires real concentration.
It's about being proactive with your schedule, protecting your most valuable resource, your attention. That way you don't end up feeling scattered and reactive all the time.
Now, even with the best planning and automation in place, we have to admit that distractions are just a fact of life in today's world.
So how do we minimize those disruptions and get better at focusing?
The key is to set boundaries and develop strategies for handling those inevitable distractions. First, we can limit instant communication.
Okay, so set some ground rules for email, messaging apps, and social media, taming those digital beasts that are always fighting for our attention.
Next, we need to manage our relationship with technology. Things like website blockers and noise-canceling headphones can help create an environment where it's easier to concentrate.
Creating a sanctuary for your mind, where you can really dive deep into your work without all those pings and notifications pulling you away.
And finally, we need to cultivate a higher tolerance for frustration. It's about resisting that urge to seek instant gratification or escape when things get tough.
So instead of giving in and switching to easier tasks or getting sucked into distractions, we need to train ourselves to push through those uncomfortable moments.
Building that mental resilience helps you tackle those complex problems and produce work that truly matters.
Wow, those 10 points really lay out a powerful framework for anyone who wants to boost their productivity and get their time back.
It's comprehensive, but the best part is it's adaptable. You can tweak these principles to fit your own work style and preferences.
The goal isn't to follow a rigid set of rules. It's more about cultivating a mindset where you're making conscious choices about how you spend your time and energy.
This deep dive was all about giving you the knowledge and strategies you need to navigate this crazy, fast-paced world and create a work life that truly reflects your values and aspirations.
So looking back on everything we've talked about, what really stands out to you?
For me, the theme of intentionality keeps coming up. True productivity comes from being aware of your goals and making a deliberate effort to make your actions match those goals.
It's about shifting from being reactive to being proactive, shaping your days instead of letting them shape you.
The power of saying no is huge too. It's an act of self-preservation, protecting your time and energy for the things that truly matter.
We often underestimate the impact of all those little yeses, those seemingly small commitments that end up eating away at our ability to do focused work and pursue meaningful things.
It's important to remember that every yes is a trade-off. By choosing what to decline, we make space for what we really value.
This journey toward better productivity is never really over, is it? It's a constant process of experimenting and refining.
Absolutely. Embrace that. Try different strategies, see what works best for you, and keep adjusting as you go.
It's not about reaching some mythical state of perfect productivity. It's about making small improvements that move you closer to where you want to be.
And self-awareness is so important in that process. Understand your energy levels, know when you're most productive, and recognize the things that tend to distract you.
Armed with that knowledge, you can create a work environment and a schedule that maximizes your focus and minimizes interruptions.
Remember, you're the architect of your workday. You have the power to design it in a way that supports your goals and takes care of your well-being.
This has been such an insightful exploration of productivity, really breaking down the principles and giving us practical tools to put those principles into action.
We hope this deep dive has been valuable and empowering for you.
As we wrap up, I want to leave you with this thought. What's one small action you can take today to reclaim just 10 minutes of your time and use it for something that nourishes your soul or moves you closer to your goals?
Maybe it's turning off notifications for an hour, going for a mindful walk in nature, or doing something creative that brings you joy.
Remember, even the smallest steps, if you take them consistently, can lead to amazing transformations.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of productivity.
Until next time, stay curious, stay focused, and keep diving deep.